What is happening, Magnus? This is gonna be fun. Get over and follow the nerdrotic. Tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you. Laughing already.
Superman is an immigrant, and if you don't like that, then
he's a refugee. That's what he is. He didn't come here voluntarily. He's like a unwilling infant refugee that was sent here, okay, to get away from all of that turmoil on Krypton that eventually destroyed it.
You're not American.
MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys.
Who else is seeing this?
Well, with this
Whole planet Houston?
Just about everybody.
You said it's an immigrant story. It's a political movie. MAGA today is going nuts. What do you have to say to MAGA?
I think this movie's for everybody. I don't have anything to say to anybody. Like, I'm not here to judge people, you know.
You may continue.
I think this is a movie about kindness, and I think that's something everyone can relate to.
Good for you, sir. I don't want to hurt anybody.
I kind of relate to Lex the most, so I don't think of him as that evil. I just think he's doing his thing.
You don't think that who's that evil?
I don't think of him as that evil. I just think he's doing his thing.
Excuse me? I saw the movie. He's evil.
Oh, hold on now. Let's not be too hard on Frisbee, okay?
I saw that.
Taking these characters and what's their central concept that kind of makes them them? And it's like change everything else besides them.
James Gunn wants people to see Superman fighting for truth, justice, and, well, you know the rest of it.
nerdrotic.com.
Friends, it's been a wild and crazy summer so far. We've had everything from Dollar Store Civil War, followed by Temu World War III, Diddy is free, a mysterious
in the
client
closet,
is missing,
in the pantry,
Ukraine, Israel,
the
Palestine,
box at the top,
and none of the
to
online
the left.
discourse surrounding these topics holds a candle to Superman. And you can almost understand, considering all of the hubris, ignorance, incompetence, and unforced errors that have led to the third reboot of The Man of Steel in 20 years from America's dumbest company, Warner Brothers. David Zaslav mercilessly and justifiably cleansed himself of all the executives responsible for the Snyder fiasco. He brought in the very humble James Gunn, who admittedly inherited the total dumpster fire that was the DCEU. Now, it certainly didn't help that James Gunn's first public act as head of DC was to fire Henry Cavill, right after The Rock talked Henry into being in Black Adam, a decision the Warner executives and James Gunn were certainly aware of. The fans
did they give
were
him the
not
curl?
a decision the Warner executives and James Gunn were
Kinda,
certainly
did they?
aware of.
I think they
the
did.
fans were not happy, but I think at least they could understand if James Gunn wanted to start with a clean slate, which turned out not to be the case. James Gunn and company announced they were not only doing a Superman movie, they were creating an all-new DC universe, announcing multiple projects, some of which have already been canceled. And it turns out they would feature some
what was canceled?
projects, some of which
James Gunn reveals DC more scrapped projects.
which have already been canceled. And it turns out they would feature some holdovers like John Cena as Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, a recast Nathan Fillion, a recast Sean Gunn, a recast Jason Momoa as Lobo, which is great. And of course we can't forget James Gunn's wife. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was the movies they had already released and the movies they had yet to release. After their last hits Aquaman and Shazam to a lesser extent, they released Birds of Prey, which flopped.
Horrible.
Wonder Woman 84, flopped.
Horrible.
The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn,
Horrible.
flopped. Black Adam, flopped. Shazam 2,
Okay,
flopped.
but flopped,
The Flash,
yeah.
James Gunn's favorite superhero
bad.
movie, flopped. Blue Beetle, flopped.
Yeah, bad.
Aquaman 2, flopped.
Bad.
Joker 2, flopped. And
Bad.
the only hit amongst all of them was The Batman, a movie that has nothing to do with James Gunn's DCU, but at least Matt Reeves just handed in the script a couple of days ago, and maybe it will be finished sometime before Robert Pattinson dies of old age. Now,
Bring it home, Reeves. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Who's that?
Don't think I'm going out on a limb here by saying the DCU and Superman hasn't really gotten off to the strongest of starts, and it's had its problems. So despite what James Gunn says about James Gunn's DCU, Superman needs to not only be a hit, it needs to be a walk-off home run. And as far as the marketing for this film is concerned, which is really important...
It needs an explosion in the background and cape flapping walk off. I saw a little thing about him saying like it didn't need 700 to be a success, but a lot of people are saying, well, it's because he's talking about merchandise sales and stuff like that are, related to the movie, dolls and action figures and stuff. But we know what people are really looking at. Like looking at that damn box office.
On a scale from Rachel Zegler to 10, I'd give it a 6. If you take James Gunn out of the equation, scale from Rachel run. And as far as the marketing for this film is concerned, which is really important, on a scale from Rachel Zegler to 10, I'd give it a 6. If you take James Gunn out of the equation, I'd give it an 8. But at least as far as insufferable political Hollywood...
Yeah, I'd probably give it a 5. Zach's was probably like a 9, something like that. His was good, 8, 9. They had a lot of stuff for that, a lot of good stuff.
Concerned, they pretty much stayed out of it until now. Thanks to Variety's Mark Milken, the beta adult pretender and friend of YouTubers everywhere.
James has said that Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
The shirt with the bow tie is killing me.
It's just a movie, guys.
It does not even go together.
It is exactly what the movie is about, I think. That, like, we support our people, We love our immigrants. Yes, Superman is an immigrant. And yes,
refugee.
The people that we support in this country are immigrants. And if you don't like that, then you're not American.
That was certainly the last thing James Gunn and the Warner Brothers executives needed, but not to worry. The Warner Brothers hand-picked social media influencers who were offered a free screening and free drinks are here to the rescue with a diverse set of unique and authentic reactions.
Hashtag Superman is a triumph for the new DC universe. It's a comic.
Here we go!
Beautiful live-action life, brimming with hope and fulfillment. It actually elicited tears of joy from me. Hashtag Superman is a triumph for the new DC universe. It's a comic book movie brought to beautiful live-action life. Hashtag Superman is the perfect comic book movie. It felt like I was at my local comic shop reading a Superman book as the characters leapt off the pages. And movie scoops. It's a comic book brought to beautiful live-action life, brimming with hope and fulfillment. It actually elicited tears of joy from me. Hashtag Superman is fun, heartfelt, and feels like a comic book come to life.
Good
Superman
Lord.
Is a thoroughly entertaining reboot, yielding many sequences that feel like they were ripped straight from a Golden Age comic book. Hashtag Superman left me with a giant happy dumb
It's like AI.
Body Superman in such a perfect
All
way.
saying the same thing. Have you ever seen that whole clip of every single news station saying the same script about a particular event? That's what this feels like.
Movie come to life. Hashtag Superman is a triumph. David Cornsweat steals the show. Well, I would hope so. A cinematic triumph. James Gunn's hashtag Superman is his magnum opus, rating 10 out of 10 from the completely objective Everything DCU.
Well, after all of the hype and the genuine reactions, handpicked Warner Brothers influencers, the polite distance between the Snyder fans and the Gunn fans and the general...
See, I said before, someone asked me during my live stream about, people being paid. Listen, there are paid shills, okay? But one thing you have to understand that when they're not paid shills, there's another type of shill. And those are the ones that are given incentives to give really good reviews. They're, sent all type of gift boxes, and they are given early movie tickets. They're able to see screenings early. They get to give certain interviews. They get to go to certain mixers and rub shoulders with different actors, different directors, different people in the business. There's a lot of things where they will send you incentives so that you give a sparkling review. Or if you don't like it, you're nicer to it. You get what I'm saying? So, when's the last time you saw me do an unboxing of something sent to me from WB, from Disney, from Marvel, from 20th Century Fox? It's been a long time, right? Because I tell the truth in my movie reviews. I tell you if I like something. I tell you if I don't like something. So there's plenty of those people. They are extremely afraid to not be able to go to these mixers. They want these gift boxes. They want these early movie tickets. They want to rub shoulders with these people. Okay. And that's their incentive. So, you know, you can be paid in cash or you can be paid in gifts. You know what I'm saying?
James Gunn-ness of it all. How was the movie? Well, it turns out James Gunn's Superman is Superman's James Gunn, and not in a good way, and I'm a fan of the guy's work. Concern's work, and a guy well known for successfully taking misfit characters from the comic books and bringing them to life, including a talking raccoon, do this with a traditional superhero. Can a guy known for ensemble pieces have a singular focus on that traditional superhero? Can a guy known for irreverent humor that led to the creation of the now trademark Marvel humor dial it down and
I think that that James Gunn is great for a Naked Gun movie. I think it would be fabulous doing a Naked Gun movie. But also, as far as superheroes go, he's perfect for The Boys. If The Boys wanted to do a movie, he's great for that. He's great for Invincible. But it's just his humor isn't right for Superman, in my opinion.
Make something fun, yet earnest, like Iron Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and yes, Donner's Superman. And after watching James Gunn's Superman, those concerns were justified. Because, and you can call me crazy for thinking this, I think a Superman movie should focus on Superman, which it didn't, and feature a man that is super, who wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong, David Cornswet seems like a good guy, and I think he looks like Superman, and at times acts like Superman, and might embody the character once somebody gives him a good script. Doesn't that sound familiar? Am I right, Henry and Brandon? Many of the concerns with the clips and trailers released over the last couple of months, and by the way, if you've seen them all, you've seen the first half of the movie, were Superman gets his ass kicked too much. But maybe
I did feel slightly, just ever so slightly bored on certain parts. I was like, oh, I've seen this scene. Oh, I've seen this scene. Oh, I've seen this scene. You know what I mean?
They required a little more context, and after seeing it with context, Superman gets his ass kicked too much. But that's not the only problem, and you're going to hear this from a lot of people, including the ones who like it. Tonally, it's an absolute mess. Superman's James Gunn is a direct response and a polar opposite of the Snyderverse. You overcorrected. It's a complete overcorrection, and it doesn't really know what it wants to be. But the good news is it's not the worst superhero film this year, and it might end up being the best, which...
Shoot, to me, it... Oh, wait. I would watch this before watching Thunderbolts. I would. But I would watch Brave New World before watching this. Yeah.
Admittedly, isn't saying very much. The better news is, it isn't woke. Unfortunately, that isn't enough. But the criticisms or praise of this film will be based solely on the work, which was a lot like what we did when we argued in the comic shop, and I appreciate that. I've heard everybody's pal Tyrone Magnus compare it to Thor Love and Thunder, which I don't think is an inaccurate description, but I think a better one would be tonally. It's a lot closer to Black Adam and all the previous DCEU films.
Yeah, the reason why I said that is because I said that the bad dog jokes that were spaced apart were like the screaming goats in Thor Love and Thunder. It's like, okay, how many more bad dog jokes are we going to get? Stop it! Crypto, stop! Crypto! And then an hour later, Crypto, stop! Crypto! And a half hour later, Crypto, stop! Crypto, stop! You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, oh, this is like just screaming goats.
And man, I really wanted to like this movie because I love the idea of moving away from the deconstructed superhero and nihilism and postmodernism and building back up the hero and the bright colors and leaning into the Silver and Bronze Age comics of it all. I'm for all of that and doing something that Marvel has completely moved away from. Embracing the spirit of your source material. But you still have to tell a good story, something those Bronze and Silver Age comics, which get a bad rap, did better than most of modern Hollywood. And it's something we really didn't get with Superman's James Gunn. It was more like a series of things
Superman's
that happened. And this makes me think of a great video out there from Trey Parker and Matt Stone explaining the basics of storytelling.
We can take these beats, which are basically the beats of your outline, and if the words "and then" belong between those beats, you're what should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but. Okay, this happens, right? And then this happens. No. It should be this happens, and therefore this happens. But this happens, therefore this happens.
No. I don't know what any of it means. Like, I have no clue what it means. I have no clue what any of that stuff ever meant.
That's right, James Gunn has decided to take that advice and do the opposite. As a matter of fact, I'll just break down the plot as it goes in the movie. After an event that happens off-screen where Superman stops an invasion from totally not Russia into totally not brown Ukraine or totally not Israel into totally not Palestine, I didn't see it that way. But if some people see Israel portrayed this way, well, maybe some people working on this film are forgetting who signs their checks and who their agents are. And then Krypto saves Superman so the Superman robots can save Superman. And then Superman goes back to Metropolis to get his ass beat by the hammer of Baravia. And then Lex Luthor, who despises Superman for making humans like him feel insignificant, invades the Fortress of Solitude and steals a message from Jor-El, Lara, and Krypto. And then Lex Luthor and the Engineer decrypt the message from Jor-El and Lara and find out that Superman was sent there to conquer and have many wives to spread the seed of Krypton.
Nice.
And then Superman and the Justice Gang, featuring Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl, fight a kaiju. And then, after Superman saves a bunch of people from being crushed by the kaiju Mr. Terrific killed, they all turn on him instantly when they find out he was actually sent there to conquer and get himself a harem. Nice. And then Lex convinces the government and General Flag to arrest Superman, who turns himself in. And then Superman gets himself locked up in a pocket dimension with Lex's exes, Metamorpho and his kid, some of Lex's enemies, and a bunch of monkey bots trying to get hashtag super trending. And then Lois Lane and Mr. Terrific save Superman, who saves Metamorpho and his kid. And then Jimmy Olsen is given all the information to exonerate Superman from Miss Tessmacher, who incidentally wants to bang him after she gets mad at Lex for throwing a pencil at her. And then Lex opens up a giant rift that will destroy Metropolis. And then the entire city of Metropolis is evacuated in just about 5 minutes before the mass destruction. And then Superman fights Ultraman, who we find out is a clone of Superman. And then he kills him. And then the invasion.
Yeah, he kills him. That's right, he kills him. He kills him. I don't want to hear no more complaints about Henry Cavill snapping Zod's neck. I don't want to hear no more about it.
Invasion of Totally Not Palestine or Totally Not Ukraine is
And
stopped by the
Hawkgirl killed
Justice
somebody
Gang.
too.
And then Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen expose Lex Luthor as a traitor, and he cries. And then after taking some part in saving the day in his own movie and being reunited with Krypto, we find out that he belongs to Supergirl, who calls Superman a bitch.
She all comes in all drunk and then plays with Krypto, and her and Krypto are cracking the floor because he's jumping on her and everything. And then she walks out. She's like, "Thanks for watching." Just like, oh my God. I was sitting there like, oh my God. This is so stupid.
Now, I might have left out an and then here or there, but you get the picture. And if you think there's any more depth to the storytelling than what I just read off to you, there isn't. Now, if it seems like I'm being a little hard on this film, I am, because I expect more from a Superman movie from James Gunn. It's not the worst I've seen this year. That still belongs to Emilia Perez. And quite frankly, these are the most difficult movies.
I didn't see that and never will. But I'm glad you had the courage to watch that, sir.
To review. It's much easier to review something that's really good or really bad, but this one is spectacularly mid and overwhelmingly whelming. Now, there were concerns that Superman featured too many characters, and it featured too many characters. I give it to James Gunn for consistency because they had the same complexity and depth as the plot. I thought Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner was pretty good, along with Anthony Carrigan's Metamorpho, and I thought Mr. Terrific was really good. No, I'm not going to say terrific. I'd like to see more of the Justice Gang in a different movie, and I'm not the only one to point this out, but tonally, they come off just like the Justice Society and Black Adam. Again, proving why mid-movies are the hardest to review of the rest of the additional cast. The best I could say is they're fine, I guess. The only characters I didn't like were Hawkgirl and the Engineer, obviously, because they're women.
Remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon, and there's no sequel.
And hey, Jimmy Olsen is white again, and his unassuming Bait Magnet character was kind of funny. And Ma and Pa Kent were barely in it, and yes, they were portrayed as a stereotypical country bumpkin couple, but there was one funny scene that played out just like a phone call with my mom,
it was funny.
who has never seen a second of my YouTube and thinks I'm on a radio show. The most significant and only moment between Clark and Jonathan you've already seen online.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Crypto. A lot of people are going to like him. I think they played the joke a little too long, but I didn't mind it. But the one thing I'm completely tired of is these breed swaps. He's supposed to be a lab. And when it comes to Lex Luthor, Nicholas Hoult is a great actor, and he has some great moments, including one of the best scenes in the movie when he just shoots a guy in the head. And it was at that point I thought they were going to elevate and take the character somewhere, but this can be said about the entire movie and everyone in it. It just reverts back to its total weirdness. Lots of wasted potential in this, including Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane, who's really good and arguably the most developed character in this movie, but she only has 2 real scenes with Clark. The now infamous interview scene, which now that I've seen it with some context is a little better, and the best moment together between Lois and Clark is undercut by James Gunn humor with a battle going on in the background with the Justice Gang. And this brings us to David Corenswet, who, along with most of the cast in this film, did their best with absolutely nothing. He looks like Superman. He sounds like Superman. And guess what? The costume that I criticized looks pretty good in the movie. Although I still hate the new 52 collar. He and Rachel Brosnahan are the only 2 characters that are given a chance to be earnest at all, but every single time it's undercut by something. And that something is usually Marvel James Gunn humor. Before the film, I heard a lot of lip service about this being a hopeful Superman. Within the film, I heard a lot of lip service saying Superman is popular, but at no time do I feel like there's any reverence or respect for the character from anybody within the film or making it. Oh, they like him, but again, they don't respect him. I'd also like to remind you that Superman gets kicked in the balls by Ultraman, and they end the movie with Supergirl calling Superman a bitch. He gets his ass kicked the entire movie, and he's portrayed as frustrated and angry. The one positive note is at least he never gives up. But instead of Superman getting his moment
John Cena, Super Cena,
of triumph, he just gets handed more moments of exasperation. And that's the biggest tragedy of all. While there is plenty of action in this and Superman is doing plenty of stuff, there's not a single moment that will define him or this movie. And that inherently is the biggest problem with the film, which is the biggest problem with the filmmakers. Superman, including the very honest and humble James Gunn, who said right before our fan screening that he's always wanted to make a Superman movie, despite the fact that he turned one down in 2018 because he couldn't crack the character, and he was only able to do so a couple of years ago because of the dog Krypto, who, along with Mr. Terrific, arguably had better hero moments than Superman in his own movie. While James Gunn's Superman has its moments and overall a pretty good cast. And while I really appreciate that they tried to embrace the Silver and Bronze Age DC comics, and I highly encourage them to continue doing so, next time try to find somebody more suited for the assignment than James Gunn. And what specific evidence do I have for James Gunn not being right for the assignment? Look no further than Jor-El and Laura, played by Bradley Cooper and that girl from Westworld. Remember their last message to their son that Lex Luthor and the Engineer decrypted, stating that
wait till you hear
they
this.
sent Kal-El to conquer Earth? That everyone watching the film thought was faked and they would fix it by the end? Well, they didn't.
Nope.
And that message is, and I quote,
"The people are simple and profoundly confused, weak of mind, spirit, and body, lord over the planet as the last son of Krypton. Dispatch of anyone unable or unwilling to serve you, Kal-El. Take as many wives as you can so your genes and Kryptonians' might and legacy will live on in this new frontier. Do us proud, our beloved son. Rule without mercy."
Fuck this movie. That's arguably all hell. It's not even an argument. That is worse than Clark letting Pa Kent get sucked up into a tornado. James Gunn has his wheelhouse, and I think he should stay in it, because I haven't seen him evolve as a director. As a matter of fact, I've seen him devolve. Because the one thing his films are known for is heart and soul, something Superman is devoid of. It was a generic movie with some good and some sloppy directing. It looked like it was hastily edited and re-edited. The occasional callback to the John Williams theme was the only thing that reminded you that this film had a score. That sounded like it was produced on Fruity Loops. And this is why no one will ever stop talking about Dick Donner's Superman. A film that made generations believe a man could fly. Something no one to this day at DC or Hollywood believes. It's not like they didn't try, I just don't think they know how. The proof is in the pudding, but if you want to prove me wrong in your next film, put in truth, justice, and the American way, because the only place on earth that has a problem with that phrase is Hollywood. I think this is going to be a film where you either love it or hate it, and I am right in the middle. I am completely apathetic. I walked out of the theater feeling nothing, which is a complete failure for a Superman movie. And that doesn't bode well for a cinematic universe that isn't going to have Batman in it for quite some time. But not to worry, you're going to follow this up with Peacemaker Season 2 and Supergirl. Good luck. And it's too late now, but the biggest concern came to fruition. Maybe you should have focused on just doing a Superman movie that focuses on Superman before even thinking about a cinematic universe.
You know what I think about that? Maybe it's best that they did do this, because it had just been a bunch of super goofy stuff, overly goofy stuff that just, it would have drove me nuts. It's like it had been all focused on Superman too. It's like it's just his movie. So they spread the goofiness out so they didn't goof troop Clark Kent too much. You get what I'm saying? They didn't goof troop Superman that much. So the goofiness was spread out around other characters. So all the goof didn't go to Clark, and I think I like that better.
Universe. But I might be in the minority, to be fair. After the fan screenings, the general consensus seems to be pretty positive, and that it's solid, but not a home run. Something Warner Brothers and DC desperately needed, and yes, of course.
Yeah, I hear right now, numbers-wise, it doesn't look like it's going to beat Zack Snyder's Man of Steel opening weekend. And I know I heard some analysts talking about back when that one came out, they didn't count the ticket sales from Thursday night previews, and now they do. So there's a little factoring there, but it doesn't look like it's going to, but we'll have to wait and see. Can't wait till Monday, so Sunday. Sunday, we'll probably get an article of whether, it is going to beat it.
Absolutely, they're going to take the win however they get it.
Can't wait till Sunday to find out.
It's not just the DC universe that needed Superman to be a giant global phenomenon. It's the superhero film, whose fate will be decided this month. And next up is the Fantastic Four. Listen, I wanted to like this. I wanted it to be a triumph. I wanted it to elicit tears. I wanted it to...
If Fantastic Four sucks, I have a special Stone Cold Steve Austin intro for that, for you, just so you know. So make sure you tune in.
Feel like a comic book leaping off the page instead of feeling like I was just leafing through an uninteresting one. I wanted it to be the best Superman movie ever made. I wanted to walk out of that theater feeling so good I would walk back in and watch it again.
And I want a toilet made out of solid gold. It's just not in the cards now, is it?
Instead, the only thing I'm going to remember from Superman's James Gunn is Lara and Jor-El sending the last son of Krypton to conquer Earth, start a harem, and spread his seed.
That's my best Japanese Goku right now.
One more thing, as you know or may not know, I have never and will never stop one of my videos for a sponsor, with one exception, to shill my own stuff. Because I wrote a book with, admittedly, a lot of help. And no, thankfully for you, it won't be some insufferable zippity-doo-dah, how did I become a YouTuber? Because if it was, it would go something like this. Get kicked out of your house permanently in your teenage years and become a hopeless, homeless drug addict, OD a couple times, go to jail, go to prison.
Looking like Billy Idol right there.
Get married, get divorced, get married again, open a comic shop, relapse, almost get divorced again, file for bankruptcy, get sober again, and then start a YouTube channel. That wouldn't be the best advice. But we wrote the book anyway, and it's basically my journey to how I became a grateful recovering dope fiend. If you're interested, pre-orders start at 3 p.m. Central Time this Friday, July 11th through Rippaverse's Ripascend.
Is it coming to audio too? I can get it on Audible? I like to listen to books while I'm walking. Yeah, let me know, Nerdrotic. Good job as usual. I really liked your editing in this one. Really liked the editing. Looks like he feels relatively the same way that I do. So, people always lie and say that, Tyrone, you're the only one that's giving a negative review. Yeah. So, let me see. It's me so far that doesn't like this. He doesn't like it. Someone told me the amazing Lucas doesn't like it. Film Threat gave it barely a recommend to go see. Snarky J didn't like it. Let me see. I know there's another one. Is there another one? I know Scarlett didn't like it, but she's not one of the big people that do the reviews. Jeremy Johns. Jeremy Johns, arguably the greatest YouTube movie critic of all time. He didn't like it. So there's several people that didn't like it. When I was doing my cardio today, I also was listening to different reviews, kind of like on autoplay. So there were certain channels I'd never heard of, but I was listening to them. They didn't like it either, certain smaller channels. So a lot of people that don't like it. It's a divisive movie. It is what it is. We will see if it will be the hit that fanatics claim it will be. 10 million subscribers.